Right now at 11, street racing blamed for yet another Portland death. Tonight, the new proposal that would crack down on the crime. Plus, could a jail cell lead to a better life?
Terrible, horrific. Can't believe that, it's my life.
Why some families struggling with addiction say a new Oregon program could be a path forward.
I was sitting in their spot before, so I can relate.
And later, 3 years after Oregon's first COVID case.
The first patient was the engineer at my child's school.
The doctor who diagnosed it shares her unique perspective on an unprecedented time. Well, good evening, and we begin tonight with a view up at Timberline with another blast of winter headed our way. The wind so vicious in parts of the Cascades today, Mount Hood Meadows did not even open, with snow and below freezing temperatures on the way this week for the mountains and well beyond. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino tonight. So Matt, what does the timing look like here?
Yeah, below freezing temperatures headed for the valleys too, and I mean way below, into the teens. The timing remains the same. We're going to see the rain increase presently, basically after midnight tonight. We're still warm, but the west wind is beginning to kick in. This is at Newport at 46 degrees and 14 miles an hour. It's been raining pretty good there. Look at the winds though. This is the first part. It's going to get windy, eventually it gets cold, and eventually we'll get at least a little bit of snow. Winds out of the southwest at 24, Portland Airport. And we look down at the coast, about the same. Hood River, 13 at the Dalles, west at 26. But when you look at the wind gusts, already a gust of 30 miles an hour. Portland, 25 at Hillsborough, and 32 in Aurora. So it's been ripping out there, especially east of the Cascades. A gust of 40 at Bend, 46 in the Dalles, and 47 in Pendleton. So here we go. This is just the beginning as this cold front pushes through later tonight and tomorrow morning. Strong westerly winds behind it will help to keep the precipitation going tomorrow, and it'll gradually get colder and colder, and the snow level drops and drops. Doppler radar doesn't look that impressive right now, but we'll get a pretty good dose of rain out of this. Then, of course, well, the thing everybody wants to know about is the snow. We may begin to see snow showers by this time tomorrow night, but it's later Wednesday into Thursday when I think we have our best chance of snow. Most of the models not showing a whole lot. In fact, only 0.3 of an inch now for Portland. That's half of what it was showing earlier, but the amounts have increased up in the Cascades. So still tough to tell exactly where we'll see snow in the valleys and how much. But let me go through a best case, worst case scenario for you. Best case, just flurries. And if you want snow, then just reverse the best case and the worst case, right? Worst case, 3 inches in the valleys, maybe 4 as we go from Wednesday night into Thursday. Most likely, though, we end up with maybe a half an inch of snow in the valley. Now, there will be strong east winds developing, and therein lies one of the wrinkles. I'll show you what may actually bring us more snow a little bit later on. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Matt. Stay with us all this week for continuing coverage of the latest blast of winter from the mountains to the valley and well beyond. Look for the latest forecast, the snow totals on air on KGW.com and streaming on KGW+. Let's get to some powerful images out of North Portland, the aftermath of some street racing over the weekend that ended in this, a fiery crash, one that sent 3 people to the hospital that we understand has now turned deadly. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom tonight. Catherine, this seems to keep happening with deadly consequences. Now it sounds like lawmakers, though, are stepping in with a plan to try to stop this.
And David, Oregon Senator Chris Gorsuch from Troutdale introduced the bill. It would increase max jail time and fines for people found guilty of organizing street racing events. It's currently in committee with no hearing scheduled yet. These recent deaths are the most troubling part of what's been a problem in parts of the city for years. Fiery wreckage burning on North Marine Drive. It marks the spot where 2 cars crashed late Saturday night. Police say street racing was involved. 3 people went to the hospital. 1 of them died. Police say that driver was part of the event. This marks the 6th traffic-related death of this year, and just the latest involving illegal street racing in Portland. Last August, 26-year-old Ashley McGill was killed while waiting for a bus. She was standing at Northeast 133rd and Stark when police say a street racer lost control and hit her. The driver took off. For months, Ashley's mom waited for justice.
Trying to, find out whatever I could find out and not finding out too much.
Then on Thursday, police arrested 35-year-old Kenneth Freeman for second-degree manslaughter.
She had a family, and that was my baby. She gave me any reason to believe he has any remorse for what he did, because he didn't even turn himself in. But I don't hate him. I I pray for him, but I don't hate him.
Many street races and takeovers are organized by individuals and advertised on social media. In Salem, lawmakers are considering a new bill designed to make laws tougher on those who organize street races and takeover events. If Senate Bill 615 passes, first offenders could get a maximum of 364 days in prison and or a $6,200 fine. Repeat offenders within a 5-year period could face up to 5 years in prison and or a $125,000 fine. The bill would also modify the charge of reckless driving to include speed racing activities. Something, anything, to try and bring an end to scenes like this. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. A National Guardsman has died after he was struck by a pickup truck. Police say he was part of a military convoy that pulled over on Highway 30 near Clatskanie Sunday because of mechanical issues. Now, the Guardsman, who's from Texas, stopped in the eastbound passing lane. The pickup, also traveling in that lane, hit the Guardsman and then his Humvee. That driver was injured, but is now stable. MAX trains have resumed service in Gresham after a deadly crash near the tracks this afternoon. Police say a woman was hit and killed by a U-Haul truck on East Burnside near the 172nd Avenue stop. That driver, they say, stopped in the middle of the tracks there, halting service for several hours. Police say the driver is cooperating, but anyone with information is asked to call Gresham Police. The family of a man killed in Portland exactly 2 years ago is hoping for a break in his case. 25-year-old Tyler Turpin was found shot to death on Northeast 54th Avenue and Fremont Street in 2021. His family says Turpin left behind a young daughter. They are asking anyone who knows what happened to contact Crime Stoppers. They're offering a $2,500 reward and a reminder you can remain anonymous. And some police officers in Vancouver have started wearing body cameras. By early March, all officers and supervisors will have them. Vancouver's police chief telling KGW the department has funding for about 220 cameras. So later this year, the chief says they are planning to add cameras to squad cars. Well, tonight, an independent review of a deadly police shooting is calling out significant missteps by both the officers involved and detectives who investigated that case. Now, Jacob McDuff was killed in 2021 by Tigard police. And as Mike Benner reports, his family says he was having a mental health crisis at the time, and police didn't seem to notice.
Don't let this be one moment.
Attorney David Park pleads for change on behalf of the family of Jacob McDuff, who was shot and killed by Tigard police in January 2021.
You need to be politically active and make your desires known to your city council and your mayor.
Park and his co-counsel say an independent review and analysis of the deadly shooting raises far more questions than answers. And it starts, they say, from the moment police responded to McDuff's apartment.
Not once did the police during their investigation consider that maybe Jacob was in a mental health crisis. It didn't even cross their minds.
Attorneys and family argue McDuff was experiencing a mental health crisis, explaining why he was hiding in the cab of his pickup truck, as shown in this graphic. You'll notice officers surrounding the vehicle. One would shoot beanbag rounds into the truck. Another would shoot actual bullets. First, 5 rounds. Then 18 seconds later, additional rounds.
He waited 18 seconds at the window, screaming, "Show me your hands," which was more than adequate opportunity to move to a position of cover and safety.
A grand jury cleared the officers of any criminal wrongdoing. But the McDuff family attorneys argue the investigation by the Washington County Major Crimes Team was botched from the start. Attorneys say right after the shooting, the officer who fired the deadly rounds sat in the same vehicle with an officer who witnessed the whole thing. This would have allowed the two to craft a specific narrative.
Now that's a huge violation of any kind of standard protocol for an investigation.
Park and his co-counsel say the predisposition to turn a blind eye is a structural barrier to police reform, and they're asking for the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate.
This is a civil rights violation when a police officer unnecessarily takes the life of a citizen, and that's what happened here.
I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
And Tigers police chief says she is committed to working with the major crimes team to evaluate the findings of that independent review and analysis. That report, by the way, includes nearly 30 recommendations.